Hollywood's golden age sparkled so brightly that it blinded the world. Audiences saw pure glamour, flawless masculinity, and leading men who seemed carved from charm itself. But behind those studio gates, far from the premieres and flashing cameras, lived a truth more terrifying than any film noir. The same men who made millions swoon on screen were often the same men who brought fear, violence, and trauma into their own homes. For decades, studios hid the bruises, silenced the victims, and rewrote the headlines. Now, the curtain is finally lifting. Today, we expose 11 Golden Age legends whose real lives were nothing like the roles they played, men adored by the world but feared by their wives. To the world, Bing Crosby was warmth and comfort. The cardigan sweaters, the easy smile, the pipe, the soothing voice that made White Christmas a permanent part of American culture. He was the image of the perfect father. But inside the Crosby household, fear was a constant presence. His son Gary Crosby later revealed a childhood filled with brutal punishments and emotional torment. He described how his father used belts, paddles, and even a custom-made strap lined with steel pellets, a tool designed to maximize pain without leaving visible marks. He wrote that everyone in the home walked on eggshells, terrified of Bing's unpredictable temper. His mother, Dixie Lee, was no exception. Though she never spoke publicly about physical abuse, she lived in quiet fear, unable to shield her children from their father's rage. Weekly weigh-ins became a ritual of dread. If the boys had gained weight, beatings followed. When Gary's book finally came out, 2 of his brothers confirmed the abuse. The trauma left deep scars. One brother battled lifelong depression. Another died by suicide. But the public never saw the darkness inside the Crosby home because Paramount Pictures worked tirelessly to protect their most valuable family man. On screen, Spencer Tracy radiated dignity. He played priests, judges, prophets, figures of moral authority who seemed incapable of cruelty. But off-screen, alcohol revealed a far more dangerous version of the man. When sober, Tracy was gentle and thoughtful. When he drank, he became explosive and frightening. His wife Louise Tracy endured his worst rages in their early years. Later, actress Katharine Hepburn, who loved him for decades, learned to navigate her life around his drinking. She admitted privately that during his binges she feared for her safety. Arguments turned into tirades. Nights turned into battles. And Miriam, desperate to protect one of their most prestigious stars, swept everything under the rug. Sophistication dripped from Rex Harrison in films like My Fair Lady and Dr. Dolittle. His polished accent and aristocratic charm made him the perfect English gentleman. But his wives knew a very different man, one capable of emotional cruelty sharp enough to leave lasting wounds. His affair with actress Carol Landis ended in tragedy. After a vicious argument in 1948, Landis took her own life. His wife Kay Kendall faced something even more chilling. When she was diagnosed with leukemia, doctors told Harrison she had only a few years left, but he chose not to tell her. Friends later said he used this secret as a form of control, a psychological weapon in a relationship already strained by emotional distance. The public saw charisma. His wives lived with cruelty. Few voices stirred hearts like Frank Sinatra. His romantic crooning made millions believe he understood love better than anyone alive. But behind closed doors, love often turned violent. His first wife, Nancy Barbato, endured his growing temper as fame inflated his ego. But it was his marriage to Ava Gardner that exposed his darker side. Gardner later admitted that Sinatra had hit her, not regularly, but enough to leave a scar on her memory. Their marriage was a storm, passion on some nights, violence on others. His connections to organized crime made calling the police almost meaningless. Officers arrived, but reports vanished. Hollywood protected him fiercely. And even in later marriages with Mia Farrow and Barbara Marx, the pattern of shouting, intimidation, and emotional manipulation continued. The man who sang tender ballads became a nightmare at home. If there was one actor who embodied heroism on screen, it was Errol Flynn. In films like Captain Blood and The Adventures of Robin Hood, he was the daring rescuer, the champion of the innocent, the fearless heartthrob. But the women who married him needed rescuing from him. His first wife, Lily Damita, suffered public arguments that sometimes turned physically threatening. His second wife, Nora Eddington, lived in fear of his jealous rages and drunken outbursts. Breaking furniture, shouting fits, intimidation, Flynn's Charm melted away the moment he was behind closed doors. By the time he married Patrice Wymore, his health was deteriorating from heavy drinking and drug use. But the cruelty never fully left him. And beyond his wives, Flynn faced statutory rape charges involving 2 underage girls. The cutting wit that made George Sanders a legend on screen became a weapon in private life. His roles in films like All About Eve and Rebecca showcased his talent for elegant cruelty. But to the women he married, especially Zsa Zsa Gabor, that cruelty was not acting, it was reality. Gabor described life with Sanders as a constant barrage of insults, delivered with such precision that they left deep emotional scars. He would humiliate her in front of friends, using his intelligence as a tool to control and belittle. Later, he briefly married Magda Gabor, Zsa Zsa's sister, but the marriage lasted barely a month before she fled. Sanders didn't rely on fists. His words were enough. John Barrymore, forever remembered as the Great Profile, was once the embodiment of classical Hollywood excellence, a man whose presence commanded every stage and screen he touched. But as alcoholism tightened its grip, the brilliance faded and chaos took over. His final wife, Elaine Barry, faced nights of terror, shattered mirrors, overturned furniture, and drunken threats that forced her to flee for her safety. His third wife, Dolores Costello, elegant and poised, endured her own quiet suffering as his decline grew darker and more violent. Barrymore didn't simply grow old. He unraveled. The refined actor, who once defined sophistication, deteriorated into a storm of rage, addiction, and destruction, a downfall so disturbing that even Hollywood's powerful studios struggled to conceal it. Television's most beloved couple, Dizzy Onaz and Lucille Ball, created magic in I Love Lucy. Audiences adored Ricky, Ricardo's charm, and Lucy's playful antics. But the real marriage was nothing like the sitcom fantasy. Arnaz's drinking, infidelity, and volcanic temper tore their relationship apart. Friends recalled nights filled with screaming, smashed furniture, and accusations fueled by alcohol. Ball, though fiercely strong in her career, privately feared her husband's rages. Their company, Desilu Productions, tied them together financially and professionally, making escape complicated. America fell in love with their fictional marriage, while the real one crumbled behind closed doors. Robert Mitchum built a career on his cool, tough guy persona. His half-lidded stare, slow drawl, and effortless confidence made him unforgettable in films like Night of the Hunter and Cape Fear. But alcohol transformed that calm exterior into explosive fury. His wife Dorothy Mitchum stood by him for nearly 60 years, enduring drunken arguments that often escalated into physical confrontations. Hollywood celebrated Mitchum's rebellious image, even using his 1948 marijuana arrest to boost his bad boy reputation. The world embraced his dangerous charm. His wife lived with the real danger. Where others exploded, James Mason inflicted slow, methodical cruelty. His refined voice, his control, his charm, these became tools of manipulation. His wife, Pamela Mason, later described a marriage ruled by psychological warfare. He rarely yelled. He rarely raised a hand. Instead, he dismantled her confidence piece by piece through cold withdrawal, sharp critiques, and rigid control over finances and daily life. Friends said living with him felt like living inside a battlefield without smoke or fire, just constant pressure. His abuse left no bruises, but it left deep emotional trauma. And then there was Wallace Beery, the beloved star of The Champ, Hollywood's gruff, lovable, tough guy. But behind his on-screen sweetness lay a monster. His first wife, legendary actress Gloria Swanson, revealed decades later that Beery once punched her in the stomach while she was pregnant, a blow that caused her to miscarry. She kept silent for more than 60 years, long after Beery's death, with nothing to gain except the truth finally being heard. The man the studios marketed as a big-hearted brute was, in private, something far darker. These stories aren't about bad tempers or imperfect marriages. They reveal a system built to shield abusers, silence victims, and protect profits above all else. The studios paid off police officers, manipulated the press, and controlled every narrative. They crafted perfect heroes on screen while ignoring the damage these men inflicted behind closed doors. The golden age of Hollywood dazzled the world, but its brightest stars hid the darkest truths. Behind the glamour were women suffering in silence while the industry protected the men who hurt them. Sharing their stories isn't about tearing down legends, it's about finally revealing the reality beneath the shine. If you believe these truths deserve to be heard, make sure to like, share, and subscribe for more hidden histories Hollywood never wanted the world to know. Thanks for watching.